Hey guys, what's up? It's about 9:53. Doing this one, got an opportunity and all that. Of course, it's summer break and all that. You know how that is. You guys have followed me for a while. You know what that means. But as you can see here, excuse me. As you can see here, just drank some coffee and everything. Let me drink some more here for a second. Yeah. Anyway, those of you, like I said, that follow me, gotta have opportunity, to do these things during summer break. So, anyway, wanted to come on here, and as you can see, just like in the previous video I did yesterday, this is all the issues that I showed you that I had and everything, all the Death of Superman and all that. That's all here. But I said that I had some other issues as well, right? I had other issues, and I do have other issues. In fact, I gotta get them in order a little bit here. But yeah, this is one of the other issues I have. This is one of the other issues. This is Funeral for a Friend. This is number 4, and then right before it, or right after, it's number 5. And I think that's kind of where I left off. I think I left off right here with Funeral for a Friend number 3, and then here's Funeral for a Friend 4, and then I got 2 copies of Funeral for a Friend number 5 right here. So 4 and 5. So just to put it in order so you guys can see this. So again, we have the Death of Superman, the collector's edition. This is way after this. This is the wedding album, so we'll put that to the side. And then of course this is like many issues or several issues before before the Doomsday fight. This is like around, I think, the same year or something like that, or a year or two before, when Lois finally gets the truth. And then here we go. This is the Doomsday fight right here and all that. Tried to put it in order as best I could and everything, but yeah, this is the Doomsday fight and everything that, of course, leads up to the iconic issue, that we get of the Death of Superman. So we got that. Then we got Funeral for a Friend number 1. Another copy of number 1. Funeral for a Friend number 2. It's Supergirl and everything. And then as we go into order here, we go in order after Supergirl, which is Funeral for a Friend number 2. Funeral for a Friend number 2 is Supergirl. We get Funeral for a Friend number 3. Got 2 copies of that, of course. Then we get Funeral for a Friend number 4. Then 2 copies of Funeral for a Friend number 5, all within Superman. So that's that. Then these are the issues that I had packed away in my dresser, my bottom dresser drawer and everything. But here we have Supergirl Funeral for a Friend number 6. We have number 7. We have number 8. This one I think takes place in between, or something. It takes place in between or something like that, because I think it says Back from the Dead, so I think this takes place a little afterwards. But this is one of the more special editions. I think this is after number 8 and all that, which is, like I said, Funeral for a Friend. So gonna place that back in there as best we can. There we go. Got it in there. Got it in there. There we go. We got it in there. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, this takes place, I believe, after Funeral for a Friend number 8 takes place after Funeral for a Friend number 8. I tried to look it up and everything, so I think it does take place after that. And it's got a nice little cover there, which is really cool. Then we have the Reign of the Superman story. So we have the debut Superboy there. Then we have Steel in Man of Steel. Then we have Cyborg Superman. I gotta get these in order. I think this comes before it, actually. So no, actually no. This is a Superman. This is the a Cyborg right here, and here we have him as a fully, revealed as Cyborg Superman. And we have him get on the cover. Here we have the Born Again one. Basically, it's the return of Superman. And then, here we go. We got Superman Returns, the black suit and everything. Superman United, which is kind of different. It doesn't say that here, but it says it here. So, Superman United. I didn't even notice that. But yeah, we've got Superman United. Right there, two of them. We got Superman, the Man of Steel. Got two copies of Superman Action Comics. Superman right there. And then you can see they have the Death and Life of Superman hard book. I'm currently watching Angry Joe's video on the top 10 comics he has on it. And this is kind of like one of the first releases they did, trade paperbacks, hardcovers, if you will, they were doing of it. In fact, you can see it right there. Then we have Adventures of Superman, Reign of Superman. Then we have basically the conclusion, nice little foil cover here. Superman back for good with Superman back and in his outfit, and then Cyborg in the background. It's pretty cool. Then we have Superman, the Man of Tomorrow is back. There you go. Then you have this one, Reign of Superman, back for good, and this is pretty much the conclusion of that saga. So overall, basically, I have the entire, look at this, let me just move this for a second. I have the entire saga right there, just about. If I'm missing anything, let me know. And I know there's one way to get it. Like I said, the book that was advertised here, and everything is one way of getting it. And then the one that recently got re-released, which contains all of them for about $60, according to Angry Joe, is also another way. Then we have Adventures of Superman. This is basically now continuing afterwards, things getting back into status quo. And everything, this is when he's back. And then we have Superman Action Comics, Long Live Superman, and everything. And again, you can tell when these were released just by the advertisements. Then we have the Adventures of Superman, The Fall of Metropolis, which of course she does not die in here. It's just, they just do that to sell comics and all that. I think, I don't know. One thing about these comics is they always put the story arc in like different, multiple comics. So Adventures had this one. We have Fall of Metropolis right here. Superman Action Comics, double-paged. Double-sized Anniversary Blowout. I believe, yeah, 700. So yeah, big one. 700 Action Comic. And everything. Let's see. What is it? The Huntress. Oh, that's... let's see, the toughest person in Gotham may not be the Batman, there we go. So kind of, again, you see that, how long it's been. Then we have the Adventures of Superman, right there. Revealed at last, the secrets behind and the return of Metropolis. Then we have some other Superman comics out later on. We have The Day the Earth Died. This was later on, so I think that goes over here. Some of the logos I'm just going to switch around. So here we have Superman. This is number 86. And this is one of the later ones. And we have this one. We have The Final Night, Lights Out, Superman 17. And that's when Nights into Dreams was coming out for the Sega Saturn. Then we have Final Night, Man of Steel. What is it? Crash of Two Worlds. You know, so there we go. We got Superman Final Night right there. We got Trial of Superman right there. And we have Trial of Superman. This is Return of Cyborg Superman in there. And Trial of Superman again. Trial of Superman and Trial of Superman. So all those basically come together. All these come together, and they basically fill out the entire, I guess you could say, saga of the return of the death and return of Superman and the aftermath. So it's basically, this covers everything of the death, the return, the aftermath, and so on of Superman after this event. That's pretty cool, pretty nice. We're gonna put that right there. Then again, like I said, I got some comics that came out later. This is The Day the Earth Died and City of Tomorrow. Put this over here. And we have another one. This is definitely later on, as you can tell by the logo, Superman. I got this one from the Apricot Fiesta. They would have booths there and everything where they would sell comics and cards, and I saw this and I was like, I gotta get it. So we have, yeah, I don't know what that is, or how that, well, not what that is, I don't know how to say. Okay, sorry about that, guys, but like I said, finishing it off here. We have 0 Hour, the 0 Hour event. So you got Supergirl here in issue 2 and everything. So you know it's going to bring Superman in. But yeah, he's in this one. I'm pretty sure you guys have read it. In fact, there's Wonder Woman. So yeah, there he is right there. So you got Superman in this one as well. He's also in Countdown as well. I just didn't bring that. I mean, I had that out, but I just don't want to bring that out and everything. You know, I don't want to do that, but I have all the issues of 0 Hour and everything. So, yeah, got those along with a lot of other comics. But yeah, I just wanted to show you those, and I'll be right back. Say that Auntie's machinist or something like that. So yeah, there you go. Then here, like I said, we have the wedding album, which I'm going to put over here. And then we have the reveal of Superman to Lois, finally, of him and Clark being one in the thing. So I'm going to put that over here. And all that. Then we have these. I got these individually, as well as I think I got some of them at the Fiesta. At least 1 or 2 of them anyway. But here we have Supergirl #1. Supergirl #9. We have Supergirl #16, #17, and #18, and #19. So yeah, we got a lot. Got Supergirl basically, and I got it because I'll show it up here on the screen. Also have the first two seasons of Supergirl as well from the CW. So I got Supergirl as well to go with Superman. Then here, these are re-releases. This is not the original, as you can tell, but this was basically, this is the re-release of the original Action Comics #1. That's right, this is a re-release. I think they did this for the anniversary and all that, but yeah, this, you can tell this is a re-release just by the fact that you got that stuff in there and everything. But yeah, it's a re-release, you could tell. So, and you see, that's how you can tell it's a re-release too, just by that. I think this was a free comic book day deal they did. I'm not really sure, but yeah, it's a re-release, and it's not the first re-release either. There's another one I have somewhere that's kind of very similar. But yeah, it's a re-release of the original comic, the original Action Comics #1. Pretty cool. And then they did a re-release here, Silver Age Comics, first appearance of Supergirl. So yeah, it was basically a collection of comics and everything that they did and all that. And like I said, we have Supergirl. She's in here. Yeah, there she is. She's right there. Supergirl is in there. So pretty cool. Nice to have those as well. And this was celebrating 50 years. This was released at the 50th anniversary, so about 1988. That's pretty cool. Then over here we have some more Supergirl. This came out. This is the 3-pack. You can see it says only at Walmart. These are the ones I was talking about before in the previous video, where it's basically, you know, Walmart and Target and all of them will do these things. That's how they would sell comics, get people to tune in. So here's Supergirl Rebirth #1 right here. And this is when they did Batgirl. This was like when they did the Lego Batman movie, that is. Here we have Superman what is this one? Number 31. The new 52 version. So yeah, and then we have G.I. Zombie to go along with that. You would get basically 2 comics that were related to each other. You know, in this case, Superman, Supergirl. And then you'd get one that was like totally off the wall, which in that case was G.I. Zombie. So there we go. Then we have a couple of comics right here. We have Man of Steel, the comics event of the century. Man of Steel. This was 4-part miniseries. We have 4-part miniseries Man of Steel. This was kind of like the reboot, the 1980s reboot of the entire origin. Basically, this is when they decided to reboot him back in the 80s and all that. So yeah, basically, it was just a more modern reboot and take on Superman and all that. So yeah, there you go. It's basically more of a modern take. And so that could be a comic I keep with the collection over here. And in here we have Justice League United. This was part of the like I said, these were actually part of a 3-pack from Walmart and everything. So Justice League United and all that. And then you got Supergirl right there. Then you have an Injustice comic book adaptation. As you can tell, we got that as well. And then we got Action Comics number 51 that was thrown in there, The Search for Supergirl. And this is what led into Supergirl Rebirth #1. And then this is when it came out, because I have that movie. So, pretty cool. And then we have another 3-pack here. I had to include this because, of course, they released it to tie in with the Batman v Superman movie that came out. As you can tell, we have Superman and Wonder Woman, you know, paired together. That's really cool. And we have a Wonder Woman comic and an Aquaman comic. Then, because he's a part of this, and the adaptations over there, you know, on DVD is a hardcover collection. We have Infinite Earths. We have Superman on the cover there, Power Girl, Supergirl on the cover there, Wonder Woman there, and then the whole gaggle of everybody, you know, on there. So yeah, we got Superman there, so on the cover. Wanted to get that because of that and everything. Put that over here. And then to close it out, we have all 4 issues of 0 Hour. I think there's more, but I got it because, of course, Superman plays a huge part in this as well. Plays a huge part, if you will. I think he's in here somehow. I don't know if he's in this issue. He's in one of these issues. I know he is. I think he's in here somewhere. But he's one of them. He's in one of them. I know that. Yeah. What? Hey guys. So yeah, just to close up here, and let me kind of straighten this out a little bit so you guys can see better. There we go. But like I said, just to close out here, yeah, those are just a lot of the comics I have. As you probably can tell, I have more than just Sonic comics and all that. I have Superman, DC, Superman comics. I have the Spider-Man, Batman comic they did initially. I have Biker Mice. I have X-Men, a ton of X-Men, because my second cousin, Joe Rosas Jr., used to do art for them. He used to do art for them. He's a freelance artist when it comes to comics, and I think he's worked on Superman as well. You know, worked for DC and so on. You know, and he's still working. So that's why I kind of collected those as well. And then got Wildcats. And, you know, I got Fur Log, if you will. Sorry about saying that twice. Let me get some coffee. It's still early. I had to wake up early because I have to water the lawn and everything. I mean, the matriarch have to water the lawns and everything. It's going to be hot today. It's going to be about 101 to 106 degrees. That's what they're saying. But anyway, to get back on topic, like I said, you know, I have that. I have the Anaconda. I think it's the Anaconda Vice. No, it's something called Anaconda Vice or something. This is Anaconda. It's a very adult comic that deals. One of the main things it deals with, from an adult perspective, is VORE. I'll just put it that way. VORE and UNBRI. Okay, the Anaconda book that I'm talking about. It's an anthropomorphic fantasy book, adult book, comic that deals. One of the main central points that it focuses on, deals with, is VORE and UNBIRTH. I'll put it that way. But anyway, I have those books along with the ones I've shown you, Superman and all that. So I have a lot of comics outside the Sonic ones. But, you know, like I said, one of the other things we do have is, I do have basically I do have, like I said, the Supergirl series, along with the original George Reeves Superman series. Both, I only have the first season on George Reeves, and I have the first 2 seasons on Supergirl. One of them, I think, came with the tiara for Wonder Woman, because they were promoting Wonder Woman and all that. And then, of course, I have the Justice League box set, collector's box set with the pins or lapels pins that you can wear for the movie. I have that as well. So, yeah, I have plenty of, and of course, you can't go without having at least one season of Lois and Clark in there as well, which I do, and I'm hoping to get more of them over time, hopefully on Blu-ray, if not 4K. And then, of course, I have the Justice League movie again on 4K. And then, as I showed you yesterday, and I might pop it up here again, I have the Superman animated series on DVD. I want to get that on Blu-ray as well. But, as far as like Superman goes, for me, as somebody that grew up on him, I initially grew up on him. And oh yeah, just in case you guys want to know, I do have the trilogy, trilogy pack Blu-ray of Superman 1, 2, and 4. Yeah, I think, no, not Superman 1, well, Superman 1, Superman 2, I think Superman 4, and I think Superman Returns. They left 3 out for some reason, I don't know why. But it was basically a 4-pack of Superman movies that kind of took place in the Christopher Reeves universe, which Superman Returns takes part in, if you will. But anyway, I do have that as well. But like I said, for me, when it comes to Superman, I initially grew up on him because of my grandfather. My grandfather was a huge Superman fan, and basically anytime that movie would come on HBO, he would watch it. He would have it on, unless it came on during a time when the 49ers were on or the A's were on. Then that would be a different story. But if it came on later, he would watch it. And if it came on, broadcast television, he would watch it. He owned the movie. He owned that movie. He owned the second movie. I think he owned all 4 of them. on VHS, and he also recorded them as well, I think. So, yeah, that's initially how I got into Superman and all that growing up. You know, and of course I would watch a lot of the cartoons back in the day. I watched the Max Fleischer cartoons from the 40s, and of course I would watch you know, the Filmation version of Superman when it was reran in the 80s, and of course Super Friends and all that. I do remember watching the Ruby Spears series as well, you know, so when that came out. And you know, so I definitely watched. I definitely been watching. You know, been a fan of Superman for my, you know, for my entire life, watching it, doing various iterations and reruns and all that. And then of course, like I said, you know, you have the, you know, they have the Bruce Timm version of Superman the animated series, which to me is one of the best ones out there. Really enjoyed that and everything. And unlike Batman, I mean, Batman, you know, unless it was like for a movie like Mask of the Phantasm and all that, or Batman versus Mr. Freeze, or some of the later ones that were based in the Timmverse, Superman, you know, the Superman animated series did things that the Batman one really wouldn't do. Like, obviously, one of the big shockers was, one of the big shockers was the Detective Dan character getting killed by Darkseid. You know, they never did anything like that in Batman, as far as I know, unless it was in the movie. If it was in the movie, that was a different story. But they never did that on the regular series. Here with Superman the animated series, they did it, which was a huge shocker. And what I do like about it is Superman the animated series was the catalyst to what we would get later on with Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, because he would have guest stars in there like the Flash, of course, like Batman, and I think he had Green Lantern and all that. But you know, later on, but basically his series, unlike Batman, was the catalyst to Justice League. And you know, what we got there was just a continuation, not just in Superman but from Batman as well. But what I did like about it as well, and you know, what I did like about it as well, because it's one of my personal favorites and one of the better finales to any show, animated or live action, is basically the finale to Justice League Unlimited, the last episode and everything. You know, last episode, and it basically was a conclusion, and it was basically in the Timmverse a conclusion to the whole storyline and rivalry with Darkseid and Superman and everything. You know, and how basically Darkseid main objective was to get revenge on Superman. Outside of getting the anti-life equation, he wanted revenge on Superman, and it all goes back to that confrontation in the animated series. So I did like that. I like the fact that, again, you know, it incorporated other characters. It introduced us to Supergirl, got her to be, you know, involved in being friends with Batgirl and all that. Like, Superman is, you know, not, you know, totally friends, but basically respective allies with Batman and everything. So again, just I enjoyed the series, and like I said, you know, I watched the other iterations as well. So, you know, like I said, I've been a fan a long time, and I think it's all thanks to when I was growing up, my grandfather was a fan and got me and my cousins, my sisters to be fans. And you know, really, I think that's how it all started with a lot of us. Somebody before us, grandparent or something, was a fan and got us, you know, in turn to become fans. But really, that's all I can say on it. I mean, of course, one thing that Joe Vargas is talking about in his video when he was doing his top 10 countdown on the comics, he started with, of course, Death of Superman, and he acknowledged that, yeah, it was a big event, because I remember being a kid, kind of going from a kid to teen at the time, going from a young kid to an adolescent and everything to me. But I remember that was on the news, and I was like, what's going on? What? You know, couldn't believe it and everything. But of course, you know, he came back, as I showed you with the comics I have, and then of course, it wasn't long before after that you had Lois and Clark adapted, you know, sort of adapt the story a bit. You had the new event, you had the Superman animated series adapted, you had Justice League adapted. You know, you had all these different adaptations that were kind of loosely based on it, but not totally. And I thought they all did a decent job. I think they all did a decent job and all that. But you know, again, that was a big event that got me going like, what's going on? And again, like I said, it only lasted for about a year or so, and he came back and all that. But it was a shocker, and I think the reason they did it, wasn't because maybe they did get the blessing from the original creators, or at least one of them that was still alive at the time. But the reason they did it basically was, you know, I think they wanted to prove that not even the Man of Steel is, is an exception to the Grim Reaper, or at least potentially an exception to the Grim Reaper, if you will. Like even the Man of Steel is mortal. So yeah, it was a huge shocker, but again, like I said, he came back, and of course they did the adaptations, and two of the more notable ones that I know of course, is the Superman Doomsday animated movie that started off, kickstarted the whole DC animated direct-to-video series, a series of movies that are still going to this day. And like I said, it kickstarted that, and then of course when we went to the New 52 portion of that, you had them doing their own interpretation in two different again, tongue-tied here, two different Blu-ray, DVD, 4K sets, if you will, which I think was a great idea, which they should have done initially with the first one. But yeah, the storyline was so impactful. You still get adaptations to this day. You even got a rushed adaptation, if you will, in Batman v Superman, which did not sit well with anybody. And hopefully, if they're going to tackle it this time, if James Gunn is going to tackle it this time, I think James Gunn is going to probably be like, yeah, I'm going to tackle it, but I'm not going to do it to where, I'm going to rush it. I'm going to take my time with it, and I think that's what we're going to get. But anyway, though, guys, I just wanted to come on here in closing, let you see the rest of the Superman comics, the related comics I have, as well as kind of explain my history of being a fan of Superman and all that, and how that happened and stuff. Let me know what your thoughts are down below. Comment if you like the video, ring the bell for notifications, subscribe to the channel, click on the links in the description to find my content elsewhere outside of YouTube, as well as click on the link to the Teespring store to find merchandise